fear, shock, and confusion. What is happening in Iran? We're sharing the details and specifics of everything the world is talking about right now. The use of nuclear weapons for the first time in 80 years. Iran is withdrawing from the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. The US is rapidly scrambling its air force and deploying aircraft. The world's most dangerous taboo may be broken. Tensions are rising. The world is approaching a new nuclear arms race. Artificial intelligence has assessed the likelihood of nuclear war between Israel and Iran. We'll show you numbers that are as close to reality as possible. Trump meets with Zelensky. We know what the president of Ukraine is asking for and what is being said in the US. Negotiations have been put on hold. The US and Russia are starting to quarrel. Very bad news for Putin. Israeli planes are already in Europe. Urgent actions by the French authorities and emergency attempts to stop the spread. A Russian attack on an American ship in the Baltic Sea. Torpedoes and mines. Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service has failed spectacularly. This and much more. The most important and urgent news, exclusive details. You are watching the Necta News update on events in Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, and the world. Earlier and clearer than anyone else. Everything you need to know today. The sky over the country is closed. Israel has taken full control over Iran with precision and silence, without mistakes or thousands of casualties. In 48 hours, the Israeli Air Force completely suppressed Iran's air defense system and took control of the airspace, including over Tehran. This is not just an operation, but a true strategic demonstration of military superiority.
Now we can say that we have achieved complete air superiority over Tehran.
And now let's remember, Russia, in 3.5 years, has not been able to achieve anything like this over Ukraine. Israel strikes precisely, plans coolly, and relies on intelligence data, not on mobilized convicts or outdated Shahid drones. While Putin is drowning his army in blood and mud with human wave assaults, Israel is reminding everyone, whoever controls the skies, wins. This is how wars are fought in the 21st century, through air power, intelligence, and technology.
When neither side controls the skies, the conflict turns into a positional war of attrition. When control is in place, the way opens for operational freedom and strategic initiative.
If Russia's war has become a manual on failures, then Israel is a textbook on how to act swiftly, cleanly, and leave the enemy with no chance. And those who can't fight this way get bogged down, grow weaker, and drown in a senseless war with hundreds of thousands of casualties. And the Iranian regime is similar to Putin's.
Iran is extremely vulnerable to hostile intelligence operations. The reason is the regime's exceptional corruption.
Meanwhile, in Iran, Ismail Fakhri was executed. He was accused of espionage and having ties to Mossad. People are now so afraid of Israel everywhere that even at a European exhibition, their booth was covered up. The arms manufacturers were literally hidden behind a black curtain at the Le Bourget Air Show in Paris. Israel is furious, but the message is clear. Even billion-dollar contracts don't matter anymore if there's a whiff of Gaza or Iran. The position of the French government was very straightforward.
The French government's position is very simple. Offensive military weapons are not allowed to be displayed at the air show. Defensive types of weapons are perfectly acceptable. One of our employees, 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 one of our.
A female employee wrote on the wall that behind her is the best air defense system used in the war with Iran. She was removed from the exhibition, and the writing was covered up. A perfect example of French democracy.
And if Israel is feared even at an exhibition, it means it's changing not just the front lines, but the whole world, along with the global rules of the game. Meanwhile, the US is already sending a second aircraft carrier to Iran. And this is not a drill. According to Reuters, instead of visiting Vietnam, the aircraft carrier Nimitz is turning away from the South China Sea and heading to the Middle East to join the Carl Vinson. At the same time, the US is moving 30 tanker aircraft to Europe to support combat missions by Israeli and American fighter jets. Axios reports, Israel has directly asked Trump to help strike the underground nuclear facility in Fordow. Israel cannot hit such a target on its own. And according to insider information, Trump did not refuse. All of this indicates that a US war with Iran is no longer just a scenario, but actual preparation. Israel seems to be seriously aiming to dismantle the Iranian regime completely. From top to bottom, the Israeli army is already bombing state television in Tehran. And this is what the oil refinery in Haifa looks like after Iran's missile strikes. In response, Iran is quietly starting to threaten with nuclear weapons. Its representatives have officially stated that it no longer makes sense to continue fulfilling obligations under the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty. In addition, Iran is officially ending its cooperation with the International Atomic Energy Agency and is stopping access to its nuclear facilities for inspections.
Since the Friday attack, which destroyed the above-ground part of the pilot fuel enrichment facility at one of the plants where Iran was producing uranium enriched up to 60% U-235, no additional damage has been inflicted on the fuel enrichment facility in Natanz.
The situation could change at any moment. Stay tuned to Nexta for updates. Be sure to subscribe and like the video so it gets promoted and even more people can learn the truth. The world is rearming again, and this time with nuclear weapons. Global security experts are sounding the alarm. Nuclear disarmament is coming to an end. The Stockholm International Peace Research Institute has published a worrying report. Scientists are raising the alarm. The era of nuclear disarmament is becoming a thing of the past. A new arms race is taking its place, fast, chaotic, and much more dangerous. There are already nearly 10,000 nuclear warheads ready for use worldwide, and the US and Russia have essentially stopped monitoring each other. Military spending is breaking records, almost $3 trillion a year. And by next year, the last treaty limiting strategic arms will expire. After that, there will only be unchecked escalation. Iran, however, is signaling through Arab mediators that it is ready to halt escalation with Israel and return to negotiations on its nuclear program, but only without US involvement. The Wall Street Journal notes that Tehran is trying to de-escalate tensions despite ongoing strikes, and reports that restraint benefits both sides. Artificial intelligence, for its part, has estimated the likelihood of nuclear war between Israel and Iran at between 0.5% and 1%. According to its calculations, the risk remains low but real, especially in the event of a strike on Iran's nuclear infrastructure. This is the first time artificial intelligence has made a forecast amid a real escalation with potential global consequences. The president of Iran has called on the entire Islamic world to unite against Israel.
We extend a hand of brotherhood to all Islamic countries. They are our brothers, and most of them are with us today. The time for unity has come.
He says the time for unity has come. Meanwhile, Pakistan has closed its border with Iran. Amid escalating threats of a refugee influx, the country has blocked all crossings along the 900-kilometer stretch for an indefinite period. At the same time, trade and fuel exports are partially continuing, and Pakistani citizens stranded in Iran are allowed to return. So much for the unity of the Islamic world, when everyone is just trying to save themselves however they can. Sometimes, people even have to storm the border. Putin was the only world leader who spoke by phone with Netanyahu, the president of Iran, and Donald Trump, writes The Spectator. Apparently, that's the only thing Russians can be proud of at the moment. The US has suddenly broken off dialogue with Russia. Diplomatic channels are freezing right before our eyes. Washington canceled another round of consultations with Russia on restoring embassy operations at the last minute. Negotiations have been put on hold. The Russian Foreign Ministry has already expressed irritation and hope that the pause won't last long. But the reality is this: the talks, which had been difficult and unproductive since February, are now frozen. The two sides were only discussing technical details, diplomats' movements, account blockages, and banking services. On key issues like visas, air travel, and the return of diplomatic property, the US refused to make any concessions. Now even these cautious contacts have been put on hold. Russia blames the hawks in Congress and the deep state. But one thing is clear: the diplomatic channels between the two nuclear powers are narrowing with each passing month. If this pause drags on, it could become permanent. Meanwhile, Volodymyr Zelensky and Trump are about to meet very soon. This is expected to happen on the sidelines of the G7 summit in Canada. The topic is a new defense package. This is one of the issues I will discuss with President Trump at the meeting about the defense package that Ukraine is ready to purchase. And we will talk about this with him. And I am confident that we will have that opportunity. Well, at least, I am counting on it. On his way to the G7 summit, Zelensky visited Austria. The Austrian authorities have offered their country as another possible venue for a meeting between the president of Ukraine and Vladimir Putin. Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service is once again shocking everyone and exposing conspiracies. Ukraine and Europe are allegedly preparing a staged event involving torpedoes and mines in the Baltic Sea. The plan is simple: stage a fake Russian attack on an American ship, plant a couple of Soviet torpedoes, one of which will accidentally fail to detonate, and present it as Kremlin aggression. Then, to make it more convincing, they'll fish out some anchor mines as well. According to the Foreign Intelligence Service, the script is being written by the British, carried out by the Ukrainians, and assisted by their Northern European accomplices. Same as always, spies, conspiracies, and not a single piece of evidence. If you're standing right now, you better sit down. You won't hear anything funnier than this. Russia is demanding that Ukraine destroy all Western weapons to end the war. All these surpluses must be destroyed. All international procedures are well known. The weapons must be reduced, disposed of, and this must be guaranteed, said Russian Deputy Foreign Minister Alexander Grushko. 1,245 bodies of fallen Ukrainian defenders were returned home, but along with them, Russia deliberately mixed in the bodies of its own soldiers. Ukraine's Minister of Internal Affairs, Igor Klimenko, believes this is a cynical move meant to burden Ukrainians with extra work, complicate identification, create information noise, and inflate the numbers of repatriation. Sometimes the remains come in different bags, mutilated, and even in pieces. But Ukraine will identify every single name. These are not just statistics. These are people, heroes who gave their lives for their country, unlike Russian soldiers, who have little reason to be happy. There, those who don't give their lives for Putin's suitcase are considered traitors, and surrendering can even land you in prison. All that's left is fake joy for the cameras. There. Go ahead, speak. The Russian side claims the final number of bodies handed over is 6,060. According to calculations by Ukrainian media, 90 billion hryvnias will be needed for the payments. That's more than $2 billion. Now exchanges will be done differently, not by trains, but by convoys, to speed up the delivery of bodies. And ahead lies a new battle for the prisoners. Zelensky shocks with details. Russia proposed exchanging prisoners of war for deported Ukrainian children. And this is how a person changed after 3 years in Russian captivity. An Azimuth Airlines plane literally started falling apart before everyone's eyes as it was taking off at Vnukovo Airport. The airliner lost the right engines cowling right in midair. Yet another accident involving a Russian Superjet 100.
Right here, shit, it just completely fucking ripped out by the roots. This outer one, same thing here.
The captain of the aircraft, which was headed to Batumi, returned to the departure airport. The crew had to circle in the holding area for another whole hour until all the fuel was used up. In the past week alone, at least 7 planes from Russian airlines have either broken down in the air or couldn't take off due to technical problems. Sometimes there are several incidents a day, like in November of last year, when 5 superjets broke down at once. Just look at this circus on the water. This is what the capture of Kherson looks like according to Russia's 70th Motor Rifle Division. Instead of crossing the Dnipro, they put on a show by sinking their own motorboats. Russian paratroopers get into fights in the dark, fire shots into the air, shout obscenities, and systematically sink each other's equipment. And this is a training exercise, exclusive footage obtained by Nexta. Hey, look at us. Look. While convicts from other units are paddling rafts with sticks, these guys are sinking perfectly good boats, almost like they're doing it on purpose. And in the winter, as the mobilized soldiers themselves say, they were herded into the water in full gear and the boats were turned so that half of them would fall out. No one was planning to fish them out. These are savage drills teetering on the edge of military absurdity. A special thank you for watching and sticking with it until the end, and thank you for your trust. I look forward to your detailed comments, likes, and shares. This is important so that our community can grow. Wishing you a wonderful and productive day. That's all for now. See you next time, and may you have only good news.